Well, welcome everybody to today's exciting episode. We have a really exciting guest, Suresh Subbu. He's a seasoned technology executive, a passionate techpreneur, and an investor. He's served as a board member, a co-founder, and advisor for several innovative startups and projects that leverage the power and potential of blockchain and AI. So, Suresh, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for this opportunity and happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And for those of you just joining the podcast, we at Strativa AI help businesses scale their revenue over 12 months using AI. And so if you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure you stick around for future episodes here. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop a message in the DMs and we'll follow up there. So, Suresh, can you tell us a bit about yourself, what your role is at your various positions, and just what got you started in this field?
Sure. I envision that AI could act proactively like a capable teammate. Think like AI is a coworker of yours, the digital coworker of yours.
For sure.
So this thought led me to create EXtream AI, where we are building agentic AI through EXtream AI framework, which will act autonomous, which can plan, execute, and adapt independently, with the mission to democratize intelligent automation and make it accessible to all the enterprise, regardless of the technical skill gaps they may have.
What are some examples of the other enterprises?
The examples, this particular product. Are you asking about the product, or are you asking about my past experience on the verticals?
Well, certainly about the product. Yeah.
So this particular product is, vertical neutral, which means any business vertical can adapt this product. They can just take our framework, drop in their IT ecosystem, and it will help them mature their workflows, their site reliability engineering, DevOps. Ideally, any level 1 or level 2 skills can be addressed by the EXtream AI agents, and it can be a banking customer, it can be a manufacturing customer or a retail customer. So any organization which runs with the power of IT infrastructure, or let's say on cloud, our platform will help them at least gain productivity by 60 to 80%.
And how does it get trained uniquely to whatever that company's ideals are?
See, in a traditional deal structure or traditional marketing pitch, it's like when, let's say, take a call center as an example, right?
Okay.
Contact center as an example. You bring in chatbots that will give you a productivity gain about 20%. Similar to it, think about help desk monitoring systems, network, or people who develop code and deploy into our create CI/CD pipelines. There are individual agents which drives bots where the level 1 and level 2 type of repetitive tasks are automated as they learn the ecosystem, and it will go through an approval process like a proper change controls, so that it is getting deployed with the right governance and right oversight.
And is that governance and oversight something that is done like on your side of it or on the user's side of it, or both?
That will be done by the customer organization. We create, and then ideally the change controls will always stay, or it will get retained within the customer organization, because as automation and artificial intelligence, by name itself, it is artificial, right? It
Right.
requires a little bit of supervision as well as validation before we deploy. So that validation will happen through the architects of the application, or it can be the VPs or directors who lead that particular business division will approve. Once if they approve, then it will automatically deploy as and when they identify any faults or failures or errors in the system.
I see. And is the platform built on a specific LLM, or is it a group of them that get employed depending on the use?
Let me answer it in two parts. It's not only the LLM independent, it can work with any LLM protocols.
Uh-huh.
Because nowadays, any modern organization, they would have went through certain review process. They would have approved, for example, some would have approved Llama, some may have been using OpenAI, because everyone is into chat GPT. So based on the corporate's approved LLM framework, we will leverage their LLM, but our differentiator is more on transformers and prompt engineering techniques, which will drive insights and agent behaviors. So
Hmm.
we do not eliminate any of the customers' existing ecosystem or applications unless we see that there is a duplication or
Uh-huh.
there is no need for them to spend on that. So their ITSM layer, their SRE layer and tools, their LLMs, as well as the data ingestion models, right? There is an option where we will deploy our own model, or we can leverage the customer models and work upwards towards building these agents.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it is neutral, and we can work with any LLMs, for the matter of fact.
Got it. Got it. Okay, Suresh. And so in regards to extreme AI, like how big is it right now? Like I don't know, either in terms of revenue or team size or yeah, just what's the reach?
See, at this point of time, we are working on a stealth mode, because we are working on a couple of patents, getting the
Huh?
executive leaderships, and we have closely about like 16 to 18 research candidates who work on our products and protocols.
Uh,
So I would say we are at the initial stage
mhm.
um, of any startup per se. When it comes to adaption and implementation of the product, that can happen pretty quick, as low as like 30 days. All it takes to onboard a customer to fit into my framework, and then the rest, it is an evolution and the journey with the customer, so that we kind of provide them the ROI and the business case which we are trying to solve.
And do you have an ideal business case or cases group that you're in search of?
It's like an ocean.
It
So
totally is like an ocean, right?
See, for example, in healthcare, right? RCM
Yeah.
segment itself, there is medical transcriptions, right? Where there is a lot of manual work, and every year it is getting outsourced, like monotonous job done by
Yeah.
like any coders. Or in hospitals, pre-approvals or pre-authorizations, with banking, anything to do with compliance checks or KYCs, or like any vulnerability checks from a security posture standpoint across any vertical. So there are a lot of business cases, but with Extreme AI, we kind of narrowed it down to 7 agents by layer. One at a security layer, one at a DevOps and SecOps layer, the other one for infrastructure and cloud, the other one for testing. So we have
Mm.
like several agents which we are evolving. At this point of time, we will cover all the 7 layers of OSI, which from security till delivery of the product, which is the web layer, which is the front end,
Yeah.
where the consumer will be using it.
Yeah. Yeah. The front facing part. Sure. Sure. Okay. And so, yeah, it sounds as though you're basically ready to deploy. And at this stage, are you all self-funded or do you have VC that you're looking at? Where are you in that in terms of leverage?
From the current state standpoint, we are at almost close to reaching out to VCs, which the board and the executives will decide whether we need to do it.
Hmm.
And most of the time in such AI startups, it is a co-evolution with the customer, right? The moment we kind of, get into consulting model, the customer gets on board, we try to solve the problem, then we evolve it with the customer. So there is an opportunity to get revenue even before getting the funding, but
Sure.
that's an executive decision we need to make later.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's important to maintain a level of flexibility so to see where you can best serve and then maybe deepen things on what you're delivering as well. And then of course, yeah, if you need VC or something around that to help it go even deeper, then you guys judge that as you go.
Get engaged when we want to scale at a very large extent, right?
Right.
When we are doing research, filing patents, testing the waters, at this point of time, we need the pilot customers to work with us.
Yeah.
so that uh, all the bases are covered. And once if we have the hunger and the energy to, I think it's all about matter of 3 to 4 months to get to that point where we will grow exponentially.
Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say then are your goals for growing your business over the next 12 months?
Probably I would be looking at 4 to 5 million. Even if I just focus on a small and medium scale business, if I get enterprise customers on board based on the experience and the capable members we have in the board as well as the leadership layer, I would be surprised if we are like less than 8 to 10 million by end of this year.
Exciting. What cultural or organizational barriers have you encountered when presenting your various AI solutions, and how have you addressed them?
It's the sentiment, right? So most of the time when we take the solution, either the if it is a tech person, they would assume that hey, it is another blue prism or like UI path kind of automation. Those are process automation leaders where the purpose of those tools are different. Here we are trying to solve the core um, IT support issues. It can be like your service desk can be optimized by like 80% when it comes to that productivity, or your monitoring team can be like, put for better use. They can, do SRE stuff rather than looking into the monitor like 24 by 7, so
Right.
that, and sometimes even human errors happens, right? There is a hit and miss most of the time. When we have this AI bots, there is no miss there. We'll be always be proactive. It will address, it will look at the thresholds. It will automatically readjust the thresholds if it needs to. That's how the agentic comes into play.
Hmm.
So to answer your question, most of the time it is about, is this going to take away the jobs, right?
Right.
I think not. It will put the human brains for better purpose. In certain occasions, there is a misconception that yours is an AI tool. It is a plug and play model, right? Ideally, plug and play will not be realistic because every customer's ecosystem is very different. The tool,
Indeed.
process,
Yeah.
everything is different. The AI has to learn the ways of working, the standard operating procedures, the knowledge articles, their ecosystem, the tools. As they learn, it will start giving the productivity gains we create as a business. Ideally, there's a due diligence phase. It has to get trained by yourself, and then the AI will do its part. We can leverage the existing workforce for like better engineering work or like high
Yep.
skilled labor per
Yep.
se.
Yep. And so, how do you approach aligning those initiatives, like in regards to what the company's business, like a different, say, customer, potential customer of yours, their business objectives, so that you're like effectively ensuring growth, right? Like measurable growth. How do you align that with them? You're kind of I don't know if you'd be like just giving them the assurance of things.
Great question, Mark. This is where the confidence come into play. So we start with identifying the most friction process. I have been told by one of my mentor that do not go sell what you have, sell what the customer needs. So
Yeah,
in order to
yeah.
know what the customer needs, we need to identify their pain. For example, let's say insurance vertical or let's say retail vertical. Invoice processing is one area which it is highly resource intensive.
Mm.
So what we do is, we once we identified that high friction process, we deploy a targeted agent, and then the agent will train observing what the resource is doing and how can we do it better, or is there a standard operating procedure. And then we will measure the ROI, the time versus cost savings. As we measure it, we scale. And it's not only the scaling does not in that journey, right? We need to continuously maintain see if it makes real sense for ROI, because AI requires resources. You are spending server, network, storage, everything is getting consumed when you are replacing a manual task. So we will look at the ROI, and in order to get the confidence, we create metrics, right? The metrics which tracks the efficiency, like a task speed, or like effectiveness towards the customer satisfaction metrics or revenue impact metrics. In general, for an instance, logistic clients are like asked to track order to delivery time. We will see how do we reduce that order to delivery time. We will align on a KPI or an SLA.
I see.
Let's say that we take about 35% after automation, which means that the customer is happy, the ROI is met, at the same time the business case is already sold. And the KPIs must ladder up to the strategic goals like revenue growth or compliance. So it should be like really meaningful and the key priority to customer. That is something we always keep in mind when we engage with any AI initiatives, working with the customers on their business objectives.
And so is this basically a SaaS that where you have seats available for each of your customers and their staff within their company? Is that what it turns out being? Or?
The model is hybrid.
Uh-huh.
My customer can get my entire framework, which is like it will cover their entire IT ecosystem. It will say it will become the heart of the IT infrastructure to serve all the needs. Or my customer can subscribe for a particular agent or a bot where it will fit for the purpose. Right? If there is a pain area, let's say compliance is the most important area for a customer, or that is their
Sure.
priority for any customer. If that is the case, I have a compliance agent, we'll drop them. Then it will look at the vulnerabilities, it will look at market data, it will look at the scans, see where you are lagging, and then it will advise the customer. Not only advise, it will also propose a fix. If the customer agrees, they will drop. So it is a subscription based model when it comes to any bots and agents. The framework is a managed services model where we kind of align with SLAs, KPIs, and pretty much walk that journey with the customer rather than choosing a prescribed service. It's like our health, right? It's like we go to the doctor, doctor prescribes for what is the deficiency he has identified, not
Certainly,
like
yeah. Certain
what.
condition.
We can
Yeah.
always be proactive. But
Right.
it's the proactiveness is through the framework. Fit for the need is through subscription of my agents and agentic bots.
And how do you balance the interaction between the agentic side of things with humans?
So as I said, the governance layer is human. On top of it, anything to do with review and sign off on the outcome of a bot,
Of the
that is
output?
still
Sure.
human. Someone has to validate, right? Even though, even if human is doing, still you have financial auditor who will come and validate whether your controls are right, whether you have so that
And who
validation,
on whose side is checking for that relevance? You or
it
your
would be the
customer?
customer side.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It would be the customer side. There will be enough logs, metrics to validate. So at the end of the day, it is the customer's environment. They have to also stay in compliant with certain compliance norms, let's say GDPR, PCI, SOC. So we will try to address the problem, but the outcome will get validated by the customer SMEs.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And what do you foresee the primary obstacles as being in regards to businesses and when they're scaling using AI solutions? And like what resources do you think are missing in order to attain the level of automation that you see as potentially capable?
In general, the observation is the fragmented data in their ecosystem and the
Yeah,
governance gaps are the top blockers or obstacles, I would say. And most of the customers have legacy systems, right?
yeah, yeah.
The legacy systems, there is always a delay in understanding the legacy systems because we would have inherited certain code or the product features over a period of time, And in order to fix or learn, the more customization it is, it takes more time to learn. Let's say about 4 to 5 months in some cases, where you are into mainframes or
Yeah.
more applications. So from the market standpoint, as I said, there is, everyone speaks about data streaming, but there is no unified data lakes. I have worked for banking customers. I have worked for retail customers. If you look at it, there is no one clean data anywhere. And the cross platform ingestion that creates more clutter. So
Mm.
that's why I said, either the solution can work with the existing customers data, where it will clean, cleanse, and create its own, or it will engage at the host layer, and then it will automatically create ingestion mechanisms by our own protocol. And the second part is, vendor agnostic governance frameworks is something which lacks. And our platform is no code, low code. It is built on
Mm.
RABs. And as the industry standards are evolving, we will keep adding the controls. But for
Mhm.
now, as we are building the solution and the ecosystem, all the required primary controls are being met, and it can be validated and tested by the customer.
Yeah, that continual the feedback loop is so
Feedback.
important.
Yes.
Right. And what about internally in regards to your own processes? What have you done to automate your own business? And are there specific tools or platforms that you have found to be most useful in regards to that?
See, in my framework, I have one agent which is like an automatic code generator. In simple words, if I am giving an objective, or if I am taking an existing code, dropping in, it will give me the best possible outcome uh,
Uh-huh.
with code. So we can replace it, the existing libraries, the intricacies. As I am developing couple of my modules, I use those agents. So actually, we use it in the layers we need. But as we are creating this as an ecosystem, it requires intensive development. For example, sometimes if we integrate with Grafana, we need to do certain configuration. The JSONs can be automatically written by my tool, but I have to go validate. Most of the agents we develop, we try to test it in our ecosystem. Ideally, my particular solution is not for lead generation, marketing, spamming emails, or anything of that sort. The purpose is to build an core IT ecosystem which is more efficient. The speed to market as well as the speed to deliver, provide the best customer experience is the goal. So it will fit the enterprise infrastructure. In order to do it, my Dockers are automated. It will automatically span instances. The libraries we use can be repurposed in any customer ecosystem. So as we develop, we also test it within our internal controls, and we try to make use of it as much as we can. For example, interviewing process. If I need to look at the pros and cons of a candidate, it will automatically give me. It will not go through any traditional ATS systems in order to screen whether the candidate is a good fit. So it will actually read through my objectives, my transformers, and my prompts are like the key in order to get me the required outcome. So there are various ways we will adapt, or
Hmm.
we are adapting as we speak today, but it will continue to grow, and we will as we bring in more bots, we will test it within our ecosystem before we test in a customer environments.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, as you've been testing things to date, where have you maybe hit some challenges or setbacks in regards to implementing things? And as you've overcome or are overcoming them, what are some of the key lessons that you've learned around that?
I would take this as twofold. One is the iterative process of learning. As I
Yeah,
mentioned, and sometimes we get stuck in loop. We have to come
totally.
out. The other part is as most of this, ICE, agentic models or LLMs, chatbots, anything per se, right? It depends on heavy data. The cleaner data
Hmm.
you have, the more accurate outcome it is. Right? You ask the right question, I give the right answer. If a question is if I don't understand that, it's gonna, be very difficult, or even I will respond, but it is going to be a garbage. So to have a meaningful conversation, what I feel is the subjects, predicates, objectives from a sentence structure standpoint, if we are able to map the right transformers, or if we are able to map the right data points, it will give more efficient outcome. For example, customer onboarding on CRMs or ERP softwares. If you look at it, 30% of the time of engineers is about onboarding, making it custom. But if
Yeah,
the AI agent can map the fields required, or it can verify the workflows, the documents, then pretty much in 2 to 3 hours that ERP can be deployed.
sure.
So the thing is, like, the analysis is the part which takes huge amount of time, and to make meaningful insights, or to interpret meaningful data out of the customer data lake, is where we will run into challenge. As a agent learns, it will be efficient enough to find the right data, and it will pretty much make wonders.
What are some key metrics that you use internally to measure your own business success, the success of the AI, et cetera, to ensure that your AI is delivering the results?
See, my particular architecture, we have our own protocol. So we look at the
Yeah, like how
protocol.
are you measuring your own? Like understood that the other customer, your customers have their KPIs that you'll match and track to, and what do you use internally? What are your drivers?
So my internal drivers would be like user satisfaction scores, where it is like in time to value, the number of days it takes till the first automation benefit is getting reaped, and anomaly detection date. When I speak about the anomaly detection rate, it is about identifying the critical risk sensitive sectors, like identify which where is an anomaly. The moment we identify anomaly, then we can solve the problem. So, and my bot efficiency is measured by the network bandwidth consumption, the number of packet drops, and all these metrics are configured through Grafana or Prometheus, so that we can look at how healthy is my bot from an efficiency standpoint as well. So there are two types: one, operational metrics; the other one is business metrics. When it comes to business metrics, it is all circles around the customer, the time, value, ROI,
Uh-huh.
the revenue loss, the leakage on vulnerability, or how do we address those vulnerabilities. Operational metrics is more to do with the bot efficiencies, the network bandwidth, the number of bots triggered, and how many dormant bots do we have. Do we need to clean up if it is no more required in the ecosystem, so that we kind of free up the resources. We do it in two areas. One is business, as well as we also take a look at an operational metrics, and we implement it.
And I certainly have heard some challenges around people like measuring the ROI on anything to do of this sort, right? And sometimes it's more trackable than others. So, what do you do to address that?
See, for example, it is very common, right? It's an ever evolving challenge. How do we measure ROI against
Exactly.
the,
Yeah.
because unless you are like front ending on sales, or unless you are like marketing person, you are
Yeah. And even with those, sometimes it can be very vague.
right. So the ROI is pretty much measured against the business case. For example, if I am able to eliminate 80% of the human tasks through my bot, that
Yeah.
80% cost is already like you can
Mm.
repurpose that for innovation or research, or it can be like into engineering. So we kind of put a value against it. The other thing is like taking the history of the outages, the downtimes, the systems which which impacts the business, where it is directly tied up to revenue. As we reduce the thresholds, like for example, last year there were about 5 outages, and my system uptime is like 98%. If I am able to reduce it by like one more percent, that ROI is like easily mapped here. So it's like there are various ways where we kind of quantify the metrics. Actually, we try to make sure that those metrics are felt, not like just on papers, right?
Yeah.
The metrics can be felt, it can be recognized. When it comes to proposing those, we jointly work with customers based on the customer pain points.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so key. I mean, I think that, if you take it internally, you think, what's the effectiveness of this one employee, right? And how are they driving business either internally or with the customers? And sometimes you just know we'll call it, in the old days, that this is a good employee and things are going efficiently. Is ROI really measured? They just get that feeling of, oh, it's not going so well with, this Bob. He's not working so well as what we think his potential is, right? Versus like, Sue is doing phenomenal for us because we see these things in sales or in, customer reports or what have you. But sometimes it's more of like that feeling base versus actual looking at numbers and ROI. And I think that there's so much opportunity here to really use AI and tracking some specifics around ROI so that you're validating both your internal processes, but also your worth to the customer, especially in areas that maybe they have never tracked themselves or considered about future possibilities for their own growth.
Absolutely. Even in that, I would add one more point to it, right? When my agent or bot is resolving a particular issue or an incident, or
Uh-huh.
it is resolving an outage, the time taken and the number of people who spend on resolving it in the past is cut by like 90%.
Right.
That is a best way to measure the ROI. What is the cost per incident in order to get that resolved? And if the bot is resolving like 80% of the incident, that itself probably your spend is controlled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than the spend is controlled because anyway you would have spent that amount of money on keeping the resources doing this task, but they can do something else which is like more efficient, the real hard work for the human brains, rather than taking L1 and L2 tasks, which is that is what these agents will target towards addressing those issues. The agentic approach is this agent will self learn,
Mm-hmm.
think like a human, still get the approval from the human before it executes.
Yeah, exactly. And then there'll be the agents measuring or, monitoring the agents
Correct.
and the human layer on top of that. So for
Yeah.
the complete oversight. Yeah. Yeah. Exciting times. It really is. It really sounds like you've got quite an incredible journey so far, Suresh. It's quite amazing. And especially also considering what you're talking about, maybe where the business will be growing, over the next, I think you started out with like 3 to 4 months, but then also the next 12, right? Over the next year. And so, hypothetically, if you had a magic wand, okay, to fix one thing in the business that might be going a little bit slower than you would like right now or like holding you back, what would that be?
I would have everyone work in the same speed I do, or even make myself much faster than what I am progressing as of today. Because we are talking about the team, the product. It has to evolve, and the speed of evolution and getting the product to the limelight or bringing that product to life is all it matters to succeed in the business. And if I have the magic wand, probably I will look at the execution power and the speed of execution
And when you say that, do you mean about like a deployment or how it's working within a business?
within a business, because the
Yeah, yeah.
entire leadership and the ecosystem has to match the speed, or else the marketing should be at the lightning speed, parallelly. It's like everyone has to do it in parallel, and we are building that kind of calibrated synchronized leadership as we speak now. I wish I would have done it like much faster than this.
Never fast enough, huh?
Yeah.
And what do you foresee the relationship between humans and AI evolving to be, particularly in terms of like job roles?
I would always think that AI should be considered as an assistant to the human,
Okay.
where it can increase the speed of taking decisions, driving insights. So we will coexist, um,
Uh-huh.
and ideally we will get the power of taking quick decisions through this AI models. So it is like we always carry a smaller version of ourselves to perform the task so that it is much effective.
Uh-huh.
We will
Indeed.
coexist.
And as we wind up, what sort of advice would you give to businesses that are at all hesitant in deploying AI into either their own business or as part of the services that they deliver?
I would say, start something small, identify your key problem, help us or any provider to address that particular problem and then scale, right? Without trying, it would be very difficult. It is just a perception based or it is most of a comfort based approach where, we kind of, stay away from taking that risk. At the same time, the key part to keep in mind is the governance and compliance when
Mm.
you are deploying any AI agent. Will it really work under the controls and the boundaries of compliance and security? If that is being taken care, then there is no risk. We can try, fail, evolve, retry, and then at one point we will meet the objective. Once succeeded, you can scale to any extent we want.
Yeah, for sure. The compliance issue, that we could speak about that for hours and hours. And how is that done? For instance, I know that Europe has gone a little bit ahead of some U.S. Policies as far as even just being very open about, AI sources being deployed on, XYZ project or what have you and things like that. So yeah, food for thought for another day, but very key in the entire discussion, right? Especially around data security with some very sensitive data. Some industries more so than others. Yeah. But yeah, very, very, serious topic. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Every industry has its own, HIPAA for healthcare,
Right.
PC for fintech. There's like OFAC. There are a lot of protocols. GDPR for Europe. But we try to create this agent within the ecosystem so that the data handling, processing, decision making, everything stays within the customer ecosystem. That is something we are very keen on. The only thing is when you have the right security and firewalls, then we are super protected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is something someone has to watch on.
Yep.
And yeah, it is an evolution and we will continue to learn and optimize because as the good things evolve, the bad part also evolves so that, someone can take it for their advantage. So we will always, tighten our guardrails as we learn if there is a vulnerability or a gap.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you're in a very exciting space. I'm really excited for you. And just wanted to ask if there's anything that you'd like to add or suggest at all in this before we wind up and hear about how people can find you more online.
Mark, I would start with again thanking for this opportunity and your time
Indeed.
spending and knowing each other. And I also wish you all the best for your AI based marketing models. And if you need any help towards it, we are happy to partner and help you towards your endeavor. At the same time, visit extreme.ai. It is EXTREAM to explore more about the processes, the case studies. I am very active on LinkedIn. So we normally post the use cases, bring in awareness by vertical. Every time it's a different type of story on, how we can adapt, embrace, and evolve within this, transforming. Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. At the same time, you can visit my website, and I wish you all the best as well.
Very good. Likewise, Suresh. Fantastic. And we'll be sure to put those in the show notes for everyone to access. And yeah, thanks again. And let's keep the conversation going.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
All the
Have a
best.
wonderful day. Yeah.
Have a good day.